right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I am here with Robert Pee Wee Martin.
How
How are you
you
doing,
doing?
sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's a
Easy.
pleasure to be here.
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you for being a part of this with me.
No problem at all.
Huh.
Loving it already.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
So before we officially get started, I want everybody to like the channel, subscribe, tell all your cool friends, all that stuff you guys got to do in YouTube land.
yeah.
With that being said, Pee Wee, can you remember the first vinyl record that you bought with your own money?
Actually, yes.
Mm,
I was hoping I'd get that question. Okay.
okay.
And I was going back and forth in my brain. But the first album I bought, see, we were buying 45s when I was a kid back in the 60s, of course. But albums were like two and a half, $3.
Mm,
And didn't have the money. But my brother and I started working at the deli, like stocking food on Tuesdays.
mm,
And I bought my first album when I got my first, I don't want to say paycheck, they paid us cash.
mm, mm,
I got a sandwich at the deli. Then I went and got my first album at a record shop called the Bandbox.
mm, mm.
And I have it right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sly and the Family Stone,
Mm,
Stan.
mm. So this
This
is actually
album,
the original album that you bought
this
back
is
then?
this is it. I'm picking out the sleeve because it's get a lot of glare from it.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
it. That's a great album. It's a great album. I
Mm.
loved it. Oh my God. They should wear it out.
That's cool. So let me ask you this. Growing up, there was a record player in the house?
Yes.
Okay. I see some
Okay.
hesitation.
Yeah, well, because man, my family was all about music.
Mm,
So my dad actually took a new car, like
mm,
he died in 1961. All right. And I was 6 years old.
mm.
He bought a brand new 57 Ford. He put a record player in that car.
Really?
Yes. Okay. I was, he probably had it 2 or 3 years. So I was 3 to 4 years old.
Mm,
That's why I can remember it. He
mm,
had it suspended with like, he had it on a platform, suspended with springs and strips of rubber like he got from a car tire.
mm,
And he was a civil service employee, but he developed this trade where he worked on televisions like at night and on weekends. He was an electronic genius.
mm,
So he put this thing together. And I remember he used to go get parts for his electronic supplies
mm,
on like Saturdays. And there was this place um, like behind the shop he would go to, and it had like hills and a train track.
mm.
And he said, it looked up, it was, I had three brothers, so it was four of us in the car. He turned around, looked back at us and said, I'm going to hit this train track and these hills pretty hard. This thing won't skip.
Mm.
And it didn't. He hit
Really?
it, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this thing was amazing.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
But this guy, just to give you a history on him, he, like I said, he was an electronic genius. My mother wanted to kill him because he'd taken the living room closet and turned it into a speaker cabinet.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. And
mm,
another thing he used to do was real interesting that we can get back to while we're here.
mm,
He used to set speakers outside and mount them on the roof,
mm,
okay, and play Christmas music during Christmas time.
mm.
And I remember him taking us, we walked the neighborhood to see how far we could hear it.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, so that was cool. He also, and I'll share this with you too, had put together this AM radio station.
Mm,
And him and my cousin and his younger brother, my uncle, went out to listen to it on on the channels, right?
mm,
And
mm,
I guess he was bleeding across other broadcast channels
mm.
because when they got back home, there were people waiting for him,
Huh.
government
Wow.
officials. Yeah, true
Right.
story,
Right.
true story. But this guy was incredible.
That sounds like a very interesting upbringing.
Yeah. So yeah. So I had record players
Right.
in my house during that
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So, like in your record buying heyday, did you have a favorite record store to go to?
Yeah. Back in the day, yeah, Bandbox was it. the bandbox here locally, and then there was one by a radio disc jockey owned the one in Norfolk, Virginia on Granby Street
Mm,
called Frankie's Got It Man.
mm, mm,
Frankie's Got It Man. Okay,
mm,
so we
mm.
go to Frankie's Got It, and that's when we considered ourselves big time. We go there and get buy records from Frankie's Got It. So we
Mm.
felt pretty special.
Ha, okay.
Instead of staying home and paying $2, went to
Exactly.
Norfolk and played $3. Okay,
Ha,
but
right. Felt
that's
good
pretty
though.
yeah.
So let me ask you this, like, how many record players do you think you've had throughout your lifetime?
I got every one of them.
Really?
Yes,
Mm,
because see, I'm also a um I restore
mm,
audio equipment.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
I'm really into that. I bought my first turntable in '73, but that one I did sell. I did
mm,
sell
mm,
because I wanted another one. I bought another one in '74. Um, so I have like four turntables currently, and each one are probably over 50 years old.
mm, mm.
Yeah. I
That's
don't know if you
awesome.
can, there's one in my family room in the
I see
background now. I
that.
don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
But the nice one's up in my music room, which
Huh,
is where I wanted to be tonight.
right.
But my laptop was messing up.
Okay.
So I'm here with you, brother. But yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, I have that doesn't include the ones I gave away.
Mm,
I
mm.
gave a couple away. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty
Just to help
impressive.
folks out. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Of the five that you're going to show in a few moments, have you seen any of your top five perform live before?
Yes, all but one.
Hmm.
Yes, I've seen every one of them live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I won't
You'll have to,
disclose those until we start
right,
talking.
right.
Mm.
Okay. And have you ever had to buy a vinyl record, the same vinyl record twice?
Well, yes, I have because of damage,
Mm-hmm.
because of forgetting that I had it. I keep a spreadsheet and a log, right?
Right.
And I go through and I have them highlighted in yellow,
Mm,
ones that I have two or three of.
mm, mm,
So I can just look at the document and say, okay, I got two of this or three of that.
mm,
Um, and that way, if someone wants a copy that I may have,
mm.
I can give it to them. I know what I have,
Right.
doubles and triples of. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I've been buying records a long time since I was probably 8 years old.
Mm, mm,
Vinyl albums probably since I was 12, 13.
mm. Okay.
So yeah, so I
Okay.
have them all too.
Huh. That's awesome.
I have them all.
Mm, impressive. Okay, let me
Yeah.
ask you this to throw you off real quick.
Okay,
Do you
I'm
remember
waiting.
the last vinyl record that you bought?
Actually, yes. In case you ask me that.
You come well prepared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kenny Burrell, a jazz guitarist,
Mm,
guitar forms.
mm,
And I also bought another one too, that I don't have. I bought them at the same time. Lou Rawls, Tobacco Road.
mm.
Yeah, I got that from a nice shop in Baltimore called um, Record Garden.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah. Downtown Baltimore is really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So keep that in mind.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So Pee Wee,
Yes, sir.
being that this is top five vinyl, can you show me the number five album that you have in front of you?
Okay. I'm going to break a rule. I'm going to show you my honorable mention before I get to the real countdown.
Okay. Okay.
Al Jarreau, All Fly Home.
Mm.
And let me share this with you. Um, I may get people throwing rotten tomatoes at me, but to me, the best music produced in America was between 1968 and 1978.
Mm,
There was a lot going on. People had a lot to write and sing about. We look at what was going on in the country. Um, Kent State, the Vietnam War, civil rights, you can go down the list. So people were really serious about their music because they wanted it to be impactful.
mm.
And even when they sung about, common themes like love, oh, it was serious. A brother sing about his girl, oh, he's singing, brother.
Right.
I can give you some examples of that too, but I won't
Mhm.
at this time. But
That's funny.
so yeah. So that era, that those 10 years really helped to formulate my not only my interests, but to widen it and make my interests in music more diverse to a point where I had a better understanding and a better appreciation for all genres. Okay, if that
Gotcha.
all makes any sense.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'll go with my honorable mention again. All Fly Home. If you can see that,
I
Al
can see that.
Jarreau.
Hmm.
This album was where I found out this brother could really sing because I really didn't like him before. He does a lot. If you're familiar with Al Jarreau, he does a
Hmm.
lot of scatting
Hmm.
and he's very talented or was very talented, imitating the sound of drums or horns and all that kind of stuff. But too much of that is too much.
Hmm.
But I stopped by my younger brother's house. I give him a shout out. His name is Jock, Jock. And he had this LP on, and it was sounding great. I said, "Who is that?" He said, "That's Al Jarreau."
Hmm.
I said, "Whoa." I went out and I got it. Hey,
Hmm.
this is incredible.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
incredible. So now I'll start off with my number five, if I
Okay.
can.
Okay. Yep.
My number five, Roberta
Mm.
Flack, Chapter Two.
Okay.
This is a great, great, great album. She sings so effortlessly, okay, and gently, I should say. And on this LP, um, a lot of orchestration in the background, and it's recorded really, really well. A lot of my favorites on here are just awesome. I'll tell you a quick story. Um, the album that, excuse me, the track that was really promoted to sell it was wrong. It was called Reverend Lee, which is the
Mm.
first track, and it's kind of upbeat, and that type of thing. But that is the worst song on the album.
Mm.
And
Wow.
not that it's bad,
Right.
okay,
Right.
but everything else kills that song.
Mm.
Um, I really purchased it like in 69 or 70 for the song, the second track on side one. It's called Do What You Gotta Do.
Mm.
But my favorite song on it is a song called Gone Away.
Mm.
Quick story on that. We were traveling in my truck. And during that time, we didn't have Pandora or anything like that.
Mhm.
And I think it was on cassette. And we were, just listening to different music. And Gone Away came on. Now we have an unwritten rule in my house because I'm a listener.
Mhm.
Okay. My wife sings everything. I better say
Mhm.
it softly because she hear me. She sings everything, right? She has to sing. But my rule is if something come on that I hadn't heard in a long time and I really want to hear it, there's no singing. I want to hear the music, not you, right? So anyway, that's the unwritten rule, right?
Okay.
So we're coming down, record, I mean, songs are playing, and that song comes on, Gone Away. She stopped. She said, "Look, I really got to sing that song. So let's play it once all the way through, and I will sing it all the way through until my heart's content. And then we'll play it back, and then you can listen to it."
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, she did just that. She sung that song all the way through like she was singing in front of like 2,000 people.
Mhm.
And she just had a ball with it. So she sung it, got her fill,
Mhm.
replayed it again, and we
Mhm.
just moved forward. So it was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
that's my number five.
All right, cool. That's your number five. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and take a look at your number four.
Wow. And I'll share this with you too. I'm also a jazz guy.
Mm.
Okay. Um, Picking my five out was really hard.
That's what I
Okay.
like to hear.
Yeah, it was really tough. I really had to put a lot of thought into that.
Mm.
So like I said, I wanted my top five to reflect what was important to me,
Hmm.
okay, and to develop my musical interest. My number four is Cannonball Adderley,
Mm-hmm.
Accents on Africa. Can you see that? Yeah, there
Yep,
you go.
I can
Yeah,
see that. Yep, nice, nice,
yeah.
nice.
It's a great album. Now, the odd thing about this, a couple of things. He was straight ahead jazz up into the mid 60s. He started getting into more the social conscious stuff. Okay. And he did an album called Mercy, 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 which you may have heard of. Another one entitled during that time, Why Are You Treating Me So Bad? And then he did another album called Country Preacher. Well, in between those, he did this total departure from anything else he had done, even in the straight ahead years or the more current stuff he was doing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, he's playing the soprano saxophone. Okay. The alto is kind of hanging around his neck. Well, he always played the alto. This is his first effort that I know of with the soprano. I think there are only like one or two tracks where he plays the alto saxophone. Okay. And he plays that soprano sax beautifully. And there are a lot of horns incorporated in the song, which is kind of odd for like an African vibe, but there are horns and a lot of bongos. And I first heard that. We were kids again, me and my brother, in the backyard, late 60s, probably around 68. And my next door neighbor, who was living with his parents, was a cool guy, just getting out the army. He was probably at that time 22, 23 years old. Man, he was smooth as cotton. This guy was a great basketball player, smooth, had a very smooth disposition, and his record collection was awesome. He had a hi-fi unit that was great. We walk outside and we could hear these horns just blaring, bam, 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 bam. So, wow, what is that? What is that? So after about 3 or 4 days of hearing that, knocked on his door to see what it was. And he showed this to me. And on his uh hi-fi, his stereo, man, it was like being in the middle of the stage, man. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, one of the first LPs we bought was this one.
Okay.
Okay, probably the third or fourth that we actually purchased. I say we because it all went in one pot back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So wow, I guess doing a move or something, I went to my mom's house to get it, could not find that album anywhere. It was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't order it, couldn't find it anywhere. So I went to different shops, different stores, mail order places, couldn't get it. So my wife and I took a trip to Toronto, Ontario,
Mm-hmm.
and went to the mall there called Eaton Center.
Mm-hmm.
Walked out the mall and across Young Street,
Mm-hmm.
there was a record shop called Sam the Record Man. Oh, it
Mm-hmm.
was great, man. It was like a grocery store. You would need a basket to push around. But anyway, to make a long story short, I found this. This was like in 94.
Wow.
Wow, like it took me 30 years, well, not quite 30, maybe more like 25
Mm-hmm.
to get this album again.
Wow.
And so now when I go through other record shops and I find copies of things that we had, as far as my brothers, as like our records were part of a pot. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I was 13, if I bought this, it just went where the records were and we all played it.
Right.
But um, so yeah, if I go to a record shop now and I find something that we had then, and I know they don't have it, I'll get them a copy.
That's cool.
And I got each of them a copy of that.
Hmm.
And they loved it. Oh man, it's great. It brought back so many memories.
Yeah, I bet.
And the other thing is, um, with music, it's so time sequenced with what was going on in the country, what was going on in your life, things that you thought you had forgotten about, you could put a certain song on.
I'm
It's
back.
like, wow, it
Mhm.
puts you right back there to a point where you can smell the scents.
Hmm.
If your mom was in the kitchen, like making pot roast at the time you first heard a record, let's say, you can actually smell it if you hear it again. It's
Yeah,
just crazy.
yeah.
It's weird, but it's good.
All right, cool.
All right.
So that's your number four.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your number three.
Number three.
Mm-hmm.
Number three. There again, I heard this at my brother's house,
Mm-hmm.
and I immediately went out and got it. I know you've had it on before.
Mm-hmm.
Steely Dan Asia.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep.
This album is absolutely great. Now, if you look at this, it's like original master recording.
Yep, I see
Okay.
that. Yep.
One of your episodes, I think the kid's name was Peyton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He had this.
Mm-hmm.
He had it in a box, one of
Mm-hmm.
those acoustic sounds, UHQR records.
Mm-hmm.
That's about 200 bucks,
Yeah.
45 RPM. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it plays. I went, man, I looked at that and kind of frowned my face. That's a whole lot of money to pay for a record, right? But this cost me. Now the master recordings like this, you could only find at hi-fi dealerships, people that sold hi-fi equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this was doing like the mid 70s, 76, 77. These were like $30.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started, how do you equate prices with
The
inflation?
inflation of it, yeah.
Like, yeah. So like 25, $30 then,
Mm-hmm.
it's like 150 to $200 now.
Yeah.
So I paid the same thing for this, and
Right,
he paid
right.
for his
Mm-hmm.
basically. But
Mm-hmm.
this album is it's recorded really nice. Now, to keep this one in good shape, I have two others that are just originals. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I bought those recently because I don't want to hurt that one or ruin it. But
Smart.
it is an awesome sounding album. It's great. Um, a lot of well-known jazz recorders, jazz musicians who are session players too, like Joe Sample,
Mm-hmm.
Lee Ritenour, um, Larry Carlton. They just add so much to the recording, so much. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Even got one for my granddaughter because
Oh,
she's
wow.
into music now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
All
that's
right,
cool.
cool.
It makes me happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's funny. All right, cool. So
Okay.
that's your number three. Let's go ahead and take a look at your number two.
Number two. So I tell you this, it's a Stevie Wonder album.
Mm,
It is Inner Visions.
mm, mm.
I got that upside down. No,
Oh, you got it
it is
right.
right.
Yep,
Inner
yep, yep.
Visions. In the early 70s, I would say 70, 71, he fought for complete control and creative freedom on his
Mm,
music.
mm,
After that, he did four albums: Music of the Mind, no, Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Inner Visions, and Fulfilling This First Finale.
mm,
Those were all great and his best. Now, that's that can be argued because so many people love Songs in the Key of Life.
mm,
Okay. And it's great. It's a good album, but these are just I I give them like 10 notches above Songs in the Key of Life.
mm,
But I chose this particular one because this album is all him.
mm,
Okay. He's doing all the voices, all the instruments. I think there are a couple of guests on here on certain tracks, but it's like 95% Stevie.
mm,
And using his creative freedom like to the very max. The use of the current for the time technology he's using in this record. and it's great. He does a really, really nice job. This is his best work, as far as I'm concerned, that he's ever done. And it's a little odd because there's not just one theme on this album. It's it's about drugs,
Mm,
drug abuse, and there's one song called Visions
mm,
that's about it all. It touches on drug abuse, it touches civil rights, it touches anything that was going on at the time. And it's him singing along with an acoustic guitar. And then there's Living for the City, which is definitely a social conscious effort.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
And then a beautiful song called Golden Lady, which is kind of a love song.
mm,
So how do you put all those on one side of the
mm.
album and link them together? But
Right.
he does it where you don't even blink an eye.
Mm,
Like there's no dead track space. You get track space in between tracks.
mm,
Well, he blends them all together some kind of way, and it works. He goes from the song "Too High," which is about drugs, to a beautiful song, Visions, which is actually a table of contents for everything that's on the record. Because
nice.
everything this record talks about in its other songs, it touches on visions.
Mm,
Then it goes from that hard protest like social conscious effort, living for the city to Golden Lady. And it works. And I
mm,
don't know how, but it works. But it's a great album.
nice.
And it's also kind of prophetic because I'll share this with you.
Mm,
Um, the first song on side two is a song called Higher Ground.
mm,
And Higher Ground is actually a a a track about um what's the word I'm looking for? Reincarnation.
mm,
You go to like in the song, he'll say, I'm so glad that you let me try it again. Because my last time on earth, I lived the whole world of sin.
mm,
I'm so glad that I know more than I knew then. I'm going to keep on trying till I reach the higher ground.
mm, mm,
After that song was released, just weeks later, after a concert, he was involved in a really bad accident.
mm,
Okay. Um, he ran into a logging truck. A log came through and hit him in the head, put him in a coma. And he awakened some days, weeks later. And one of the first things he said was, I get a chance to do it again. God
mm,
gave me another chance
mm, mm.
right after he did that song. So, it's kind of prophetic in a way, but he was kind of changed from then on.
Right.
And you could tell it in the way he wrote his music.
Mm,
Uh, just awesome. It's awesome stuff.
mm. Okay. All right, cool. Pee Wee,
Yes.
being that this is top five vinyl and you've shared your five, four, three, and two for the grand finale, what do you have for number one?
I was telling you that it was really tough picking a five,
Mm-hmm.
but this one may actually be my all-time one.
Mm,
What's going on, Marvin
mm.
Gaye?
Okay.
This album is outstanding
Mm,
on all levels. It's probably the first album that I know of, done at least done by African American artists, that touches on the ecology, pollution, and waste of natural resources.
mm,
But the probably the best thing about this album is the fact that the title song, What's Going On, is labeled as a protest song.
mm. Yep.
Okay. And I guess it is to a degree. I like to say it's more about social awareness. Um, it helps us become more social conscious. Because when you look at the protest songs, the songs of social awareness, they were pretty hard and blunt. Um, the artist made sure the lyrics expressed the passion to um, complete the mission, okay, whatever that was.
Mm,
And they were emphatic in their tone. I mean, even Stevie Wonder, he did a song called um, You Haven't Done Nothing, directed at our president, Richard Nixon.
mm,
You
mm,
know, if you really want to hear my view, he says in the song, you haven't done nothing.
mm,
Straight
mm,
up.
mm,
It's just how they wrote on what's going on. There was such a gentle touch to this. Let me check it out. Tell you a quick story. My wife and I were on we called it our Midwest music tour. We'd
mm,
gone to Cleveland to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to Detroit, to Motown, stopped in Chicago for a couple of days, then went out to Minneapolis to see Prince's studio.
mm,
But on the Motown tour, the first thing you do before you start your tour, they let you see a video, and the tour guide is in there. And on the video, Smokey Robinson is doing most of the narration. He was telling the story about Marvin writing What's Going On, the album package. He said, Marvin, so how's the record coming? This is as close to a quote as I can get. He said, talking to Smokey Robinson, he said, Smoke, I'm holding a pen in my hand, but God is actually moving it. He's writing the words. And you can tell it in this presentation. What's going on? He says, one of the middle verses, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. War is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. We've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Talk to me so we can see what's going on, so you can see what's going on. That sounds like something Martin Luther King would have written.
very.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
Mm-hmm,
There's
mm-hmm,
a gentleness, a humbleness, and a loving way about it. Getting the same job done, but doing it humbly, peacefully, and with love. He's saying, we can work this out. Just talk to me. And I went, wow. You listen to Gil Scott Heron talking about the same thing on what's the name of the album he had? Excuse me, this revolution is not to be televised.
mm-hmm,
That's hard stuff.
mm-hmm,
And they're blunt with it,
mm-hmm,
whatever they're saying. Pardon me, America.
mm-hmm.
Tough stuff. This is so gentle for the same period. Now, the tough stuff didn't bother me. I was right there with it. When they were passionately talking to me through song, I'm listening and I'm ready to go to action.
Right, right.
But this is such a loving, mature way to do it. To say it correctly. This is God's way. And the other thing is, this is the only album that he did like that. He went from that to, I think, Trouble Man. Okay. So he was back to where he was after that album. But you could tell there was a definite intent on what he was saying and trying to portray in that music. And it's great. He did an awesome job.
Well, let me say this, Pee Wee. I want to thank you so much for
Okay.
sharing your five with me.
Yes,
You got an
sir.
amazing collection.
Thank you, sir.
It's
Thank
been
you,
an honor
sir.
and a pleasure,
Yeah.
and we'll talk soon.
Okay, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah, have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
All right. Take care.